right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk. As always, I have Adi with me. Adi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Good.
Happy? Are you
How are
happy?
you?
Huh? I'm good.
Okay.
Just tired. Tired,
Yeah.
tired, tired. Yeah. Glad I didn't have to watch United, so that was good. Nah, joking. Are you happy? Happy with the win?
Yeah, standard.
Good. Are you playing calm now? Yeah.
I was always calm.
Oh,
It's,
yeah,
it's, not, it's the
yeah.
Carabao Cup.
Not for a lot of United, you'd be surprised. Not for a lot of United fans. They've been over the moon. You should see them. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's something to win, so they
yeah,
won
of
it.
course, of
So
course.
not that I'm not happy, but
Mm, mm. But yeah, let's get going. Let's start there. Carabao Cup final, Manchester United versus Newcastle, where Eric Ten Hag won his first title, and I mean, proving his point really through to the whole media and the English league. Really, what did you make of it?
what I made was the game was exactly how most people thought it's going to be. Basically, Newcastle, you can see the extra freshness, the extra legs. They dominated the game without having a cutting edge. Um, they definitely had more energy, more excitement. You can see the fans' energy and everything, and they put a lot into it. But ultimately, it always felt like Man United had them, was just jabbing and had them in check. And when they needed to go up a gear, it always felt like United
Mm,
could control the key moments and step it up when they need to. And it was the most um, exciting game in terms of teams. I mean, both teams were given effort, but obviously United were defending more and playing within themselves rather than really going for it and making it a spectacle.
but I mean, it's expected, right? Because considering they've only played on Thursday, Adu, you expect them to obviously not go overly push and go directly at them because of obviously the tiredness, and like you said, Newcastle are the fresher team, so they couldn't just go toe to toe and just kill themselves off too early. So
That
it
was
was, I think it was the right way to go about it, and then just hit them in the counter with the extra experience that they have and the dynamism.
I mean, I think it showed even in the build-up. I felt Ten Hag really, the kidology and everyone was linking it to the meeting, but I think it did play a part. Uh, Newcastle overplayed. They tried really playing and that whole comment about them being annoying and everyone thought it's trying to affect the referee, but I felt it affected Newcastle United players because they actually tried outplaying United and
Mm.
they were playing a lot the ball in risky areas in risky times and they kept losing it in dangerous areas, which isn't their game. I mean, they're a lot more direct and they still play direct. Don't get me wrong, but they play a lot more safe.
Mm.
It felt like they took more risks than I'm used to seeing them taking, especially in their own half. In the fullback positions, they don't normally take those.
Do you
I
reckon?
do think that it played a part. The whole annoying and they're annoying
Yeah.
team and they have the least amount of ball in play.
But
Secondly,
do you think also though? But maybe they were trying to draw United out. Maybe I don't know, to go head to head. Maybe that was the tactics or the plan behind it, so that United press and then makes it a more end to end game. Is that what they were trying to do? Maybe.
no, I don't think. I think they just wanted to prove a point.
Mm.
They wanted to prove a point, and I think tactically, um, United playing Barcelona from a tactical perspective was the perfect setup
Lead up to it,
for
yeah.
because the way Fred was deployed to kind of close down a man mark Frankie de Jong in the Barcelona game, they employed the same similar tactics when it came to
Bruno
trying
Guimaraes.
to keep Guimaraes off the ball. The
Mm.
moment he came into the ball, it's like the only player they they really respected and were threatened by was Guimaraes, and the attention they'd give him as soon as he got onto the board was different from any other player. And yeah, I just feel like yeah, even from the build up, I'd never had any confidence in Newcastle. In
Same,
Eddie
yeah.
Howe. I was watching quite a few of the pre-match stuff, and he kept talking about hoping to have a good performance and hoping this and hope. And I was like, this guy ain't got winning mentality. Like, who cares about hoping to perform well? This ain't building players' confidence. It's about winning. That's all that counts. And a good performance is a bonus. But the
I mean,
only
what is
thing,
it? First time in 50 odd years, isn't it? That they
54 years, yeah.
54, yeah, 54 years in a final. I mean, even from, I don't know if you've seen some of the videos in Trafalgar Square from their fans, like,
Yeah.
oh, they're a loud bunch, but they were really enjoying themselves. And you can see how much he meant to them. But I mean,
the fans are amazing.
I never felt like United would, unless Newcastle done something amazing. I didn't think that United would lose this, because considering the way United play,
I just think, looking at the mentality of the teams and the managers, I never was worried. And like I said at the start, if it went exactly how most people thought, which most people thought Newcastle might play better, simply because of the running. I mean, United, that was the third time they're playing since Newcastle had last played. So it makes a huge difference in the legs. And I just feel like United just, handled that game like an experienced professional, seasoned professional, expended a lot of energies only when they had to. Didn't try and the goals reflect that, set piece and a counter attack, it's a team that's in control.
On that point, I do just to think back your point out about experience. If you look at someone like Casemiro against another brilliant performance from him, but it's not just that. He's played in 16 cup finals. Out of that, he's won 15. So when you talk about experience and these things matters. And obviously, clearly, it was very important to United and their win yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think even when we're watching the Barcelona game, the biggest thing these players bring, is they'll go the extra mile. They'll do something special that is away from the system, away from the setup, away from the tactics, and they'll go the extra mile. You see the double tackle Casemiro did in the Barcelona game, but if you see where he's come from, that heart, that desire, he had the whole back four around him. No one reacted. He's the one guy who's reacted.
If that was anyone else as a goal. If that was anyone else,
or even after the mistake, the way in which Lisandro Martinez tries holding him, blocking him, fighting for some, you see the only three players to react out of that. And when you watch it from behind the goal, you can see the whole picture. You can see Weghorst put his hands on his head, Bruno Fernandes flapping his hands. Everyone has static, like statues. Only three players moved in the whole of that.
The phase, yeah.
Three players. Martinez just jumps in and tries disturbing. I can't remember who got onto the ball. Then you got Casemiro coming out of nowhere. You got Varane reacting. Those three guys, you see it they do abnormal things. They do things that are just above and beyond. They put their imprint on the game that isn't just the tactical instructions. And that's the difference. That's what those players bring, is they bring key moments. They bring their own special ability, in which is go that extra mile. Don't just stick to what you've been coached to. And you see it all the time in the games. They'll do something that is not what professional players will do. They'll do something different. and it's impressive.
Another one before we move on to obviously Eric Ten Hag a bit more properly. Max Rashford, another goal for him. I mean,
Well, it's
he
been given as an
continues
own
this
goal.
streak. Okay, but you know what I'm. But
Yeah.
something that Alex Ferguson said, which strikes out. I don't know, because I wanted to ask you and get your view on it. Is that he said obviously United need to get goals from elsewhere. United need goals from elsewhere and get other players to score. What do you make of that? Because I think what he's trying to say is there's too much reliance on Rashford at the moment.
Well, it's true. And you basically Ferguson knows the formula for sustained success. He knows the formula for having success where you're challenging on all fronts, because eventually Rashford won't be available, and the belief system has to be there within the squad amongst other players that they can step up to the plate like Rashford is. And there's only so many times Casemiro will be able to get a goal. There's only so many times that Fred will get a goal.
Yeah.
One of the players, from the attacking four, someone else needs to also get that belief and that confidence going. And it's a problem. Don't get me wrong. Fernandes is missing gilt-edged chances game after game now. Barcelona is a very simple
a really good one against Barcelona. Yeah.
Even against Newcastle, it's a habit. At the end of the day, that's two in a row where he should have finished. It's going to hit his confidence no matter what. Don't care what anyone says, that will hit his confidence. So I do think, Ferguson, he knows what he's talking about. He's the best there is.
Bit of a helping hand to Eric Ten Hag, I guess. Yeah.
No, I just think he's making sure that that focus is there, that challenge is there. That listen, everyone needs to be firing on all cylinders. And Ferguson always had 4 strikers, all scoring goals, close to 20 goals plus, all 4 of them. So he's obviously, that's the demands that he tries instilling in his squad. And if you can say, if there's an area where United do need to improve on, it's that area. Definitely, they need to share out the goals more.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to obviously Eric Ten Hag. First year into the obviously Premier League management of Manchester United. First trophy already. And competing in all 4 fronts really at the moment, because they're still in there with the chance to win the Premier League. They're in the Europa League. They're just beating Barcelona on Thursday night, and they're still in the FA Cup. So potentially quad. What do you make of his journey and how he's done so far? Because I think he's been superb really in the way that he's transformed this club, the mentality shift and the demands of the players.
I think he's really proven what elite level manager he is. He's proven he's definitely on the same stage as the best current managers in the game, and he's proven that not because of winning the Carabao Cup. He's proven it because of he's transformed a whole club, something that it took Arteta a couple of years to build. Pep even needed a season and a lot of financial backing. They were already, before Pep had come to Man City, they had already signed players that he had, because it was all a done deal from his year sabbatical. So the whole plan and the succession planning was already started before, Pellegrini's last year. They were already signing Pep's players, the ones that Pep wanted. So, and he's gone in there, galvanized the whole club, along with Russell Arnold and Murta, and he's doing it just by finding solutions. You can tell that this is just the beginning. He's doing it with bit part players. He's doing it with loads of injuries, key players out. He's making it work. He's finding a way to win, and that's the biggest thing. Is his winning mentality is elite level, because he's got some, he's got no right to be challenging for full competition. They haven't got the best squad. They haven't got, superstars. Yeah, everyone's saying they brought Casemiro, what a signing, other than that, Ericsson, Fernandez, that's it. The other players aren't smashing it, they're not, but he's getting the best out of them. He's managing to get them working together, believing. So I think it's scary because if he's able to do it with the caliber of players he currently has, and it's, people refer to the amount of money United have spent and how expensive the squad is, but there's a lot of expensive flops in that squad and a lot of expensive players that aren't worth what the transfer fee was. So they're not great players. They're not players that, look, there's a reason why they're still at United, and that's not because United doesn't want to get rid of them. It's because there's not a market for those players. No one wants to buy them. Not top four.
Plus, they won't get anywhere near the returns at the moment for the
so
paid already. So
for me, that's the most impressive thing is he's doing it with players that were rightly derided the last few years, who, our opinion, even if they were in good form and they play better, it hasn't really changed. As in, they're not overnight suddenly world-class players. But he's making it work. He's getting the whole squad involved. And that's the scary thing is you can tell this isn't his team yet. There's so many flaws still there, but he's making it work. So he's definitely proven himself that he's at the top of the game with Pep and Klopp, in my opinion, already. Simply just not by what he's won, by just what he's shown in his mentality and his how he can manage that. Once he really does get hold of the team and really does get his players, it's going to be even more formidable.
It doesn't require many more signings. I don't reckon personally.
I think he does.
Huh?
I think he needs a lot of signings.
Do you reckon?
I think if he had the choice, he would change a lot of players.
Wow.
I think if he had the choice, he would move on from De Gea. He would move on from right backs. He'll move even potentially even the left back. Certainly both backups, centre backs. Every other midfielder bar Casemiro and Ericsson, I think he'll be willing to move on from. The strikers, he'll get rid of them all. There's only maybe 3 pieces that I think he's fully 4 pieces he's fully happy with.
What I mean by that, Adu, is obviously you can't have that much of a change. You can't do like a Chelsea. Is what I memean is sign 15, 16 players. What I mean is obviously he's got the players, but
you inherit a squad that is talented, don't it?
Exactly.
Anyone else who goes into Man City, that squad is a talented squad. Anyone goes into Chelsea, that's a talented squad. You're not gonna really, if you can get the buy-in from those players, they are all quality players.
Yeah, of course.
You look at United's players, a lot of them aren't making most team squads. Let's be frank about it. It doesn't matter how much United spent on those players. They're not of the same caliber of players in the same position at other clubs. No one can tell me Dalot and Wan-Bissaka come close to James and Cancelo, and there's levels difference.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So
I think Dalot this season has been really good for United.
Yeah, but there's still a level difference between what he can do.
Yeah, but you're comparing the 2 best right backs in the league. Come on, man.
No, I'm comparing to even other right backs. Trippier. Are you going to tell me Dalot is better than Trippier?
Well, not on the current form, but
he's not full stop. It's not current form. Both played their best form. Trippier's a better player.
Yeah.
No, if you disagree, disagree. But
I don't rate Trippier. I love his set pieces and stuff, but I don't think he's as great as they make it out to be. I think that's a bit more of a English media hype than anything else.
He's a good player.
No, I'm not denying he's a good player. I never said he's not a good player.
And he's definitely better than Dallo at his best.
He's gone past his best at this. That's my point. But in terms of obviously Eddie Howe and Amanda Stevely, she came out and obviously said, "Look, this is the first of many for us to come. Obviously, we haven't won this, but we're gonna go out and we're gonna win, leagues and FA Cups and Premier Leagues and Champions League, and that's the vision." And she praised how much Howe will defend her. But in terms of Eddie Howe, do you reckon he's the right man to take Newcastle to that next level, to start winning trophies and cups? Is he the right guy, or is he like a Mark Hughes type manager where he takes Newcastle to a certain level, like finishing 6th, 7th, and then they recruit an elite manager to come and take them to the next step?
I think with young managers it's hard to say, because he has shown an understanding and intelligence to improve, to get better. So I wouldn't say he can't get to that, but he currently isn't that. Currently, where the managers of like Graham Potters and the Eddie Howe, they don't have what it takes to win stuff. Right now, I don't think that you can see in the way they talk, the way their mentality is. They're excellent coaches. They will build a team. They will improve players. They will get them playing good football. They will win the championship and things like that, where it is down to the best team, the best footballing team ultimately wins it. And we've seen that for many years. So they can win those type of things. But when it comes to Premiership, winning the cups in domestic cups and the European cups, you gotta have that bit more. And I don't think current version of Eddie Howe doesn't have it. The hope and the challenge will be, can he recognize and develop that stuff? Can he develop? Because the hardest step is the final step. The hardest step is being able to know how to handle the pressure of winning and giving that mentality to your players. That is, it's all about winning. And I think when they started the season, he showed a bit more of that mentality. And as the season's gone on, you can see maybe the old Eddie Howe is creeping in, where he's talking more about performance, how proud he is of the journey so far.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They're not the type of things.
Do you think they'll move on from him, or I mean, obviously he'll get time. How well they're doing, he'll get the time and opportunity. But if there was the right manager out there, do you think they'll move on and take someone else on that will potentially take them to the next level?
Again, these are all things that we can't say, because we don't know how his development is going to be as a manager. All we can assess is right now he hasn't got that elite level winning mentality. He acted second best, I think, in the whole of the build-up. He showed that everything about what Newcastle did just felt like they weren't going to win. And we've seen managers who, there's some managers who have winning mentality but don't know how to build a team, don't know how to the Mourinho's, they go to clubs. If they have the best team in the league, they're serial winners. If they don't have the best team, they can't build it.
Yeah.
So there's different types of managers, and I always remember when Juan de Ramos came to Spurs. That's the last time they won something. But one thing he did have was a winning mentality. He came in just before the final. I think he was the manager for the semis. Got to the final and they beat Chelsea, I think, in the final. Whoever they beat, it was one of the big teams. But either way, he had winning mentality, the confidence he gave the players. So it can be done. You don't have to be an elite level manager. It's an ingredient you either have or you don't, or you learn how to get it. So maybe Eddie Howe needs to step up, and this might motivate him to step up.
But
or maybe
it might also be a good
less
experience
happy.
for him, Adil. It might also be
Yeah.
a good experience and a learning point for him to understand, you know what, maybe this is what I need to do next time. And this experience will only help him further in his development to go to the next stage.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying you can't really judge. But will Amanda Stavely give him time? Of course they will. You
Yeah,
can
of course.
tell
Yeah.
the way they've done everything is very admirable. They're doing it in a way where they're really building something. They're taking their time. There's no rush, and the worst thing is when a manager gets kind of punished for overachieving. That's just like they're ahead of schedule.
Yeah, they are.
Let's not now start looking at them in a harsher lens because they lost the cup final that no one's even expected them to get into the final. There are many other clubs that were expected to challenge for that. They've taken a step. They've shown progress. He definitely deserves more time. Whether he can take the next step is down to his development. Maybe there's many managers that have lost finals and gone on and won loads afterwards. So it's a personal journey, really. The challenge will come when they get to Europe or if they struggle to make Europe, because at the end of the day, there's one elite manager everyone knows is waiting in the wings. He probably wouldn't take the Newcastle job anyway unless they're really already in the Champions League. But everyone knows there's two really. There's Zidane and there's Tuchel. And everyone knows that. Everyone knows these are managers that as soon as they go in, they win. So
I mean, proven, isn't it?
Yeah,
proven. Nothing need to be said.
Yeah. So.
But let's move on. Obviously, you brought up Tuchel, and he ties in perfectly with his ex club, Chelsea, who played Spurs away, 2-0 loss. What did you make of it? Do you think the sending off had a big thing about the game, or was it just a case of it was always going to be Tottenham winning the game, and Chelsea obviously another difference?
Well, obviously the sending off got rescinded, so it didn't have any effect on the game in terms of numbers on the pitch. But it just felt like the same thing. It's exactly what I thought of the Newcastle United game. I just felt it was so obvious from the match, from the prep, from the way they're talking, that one team's going to look to play good football and the other team's going to win because they just got a better mentality. They got better belief in what they're doing, and they're not going to play well, and they know they're going to win. And I felt it was very similar to what we saw later on, which was for all the and Chelsea started playing well. They were the better team. They're trying to play nice football. They were getting on the ball. They do what we said previously, which is really working on how they attack and how they play on the ball. And then one pass, and it's literally 4v4. One pass, that's all it takes every time. One pass straight into Kane or straight into Richarlison or straight into Kulusevski, and it's literally 4v4 because this Chelsea team has no identity off the ball, no positional sense. It's literally everyone get involved in the attack and the defenders just defend when they lose the ball. There's no real... And while I was watching that in the first half, only thing I was thinking it's just a matter of time.
And this is the worst team to do it against, is what the other point is, because if anyone you're gonna not do that against is Tottenham, because even when you have numbers at the back, they can still in the counter destroy you. And obviously in this case, yeah, again proven to be the point.
And yeah, you could see the difference in the mentality. I mean, there's so much to pick apart with this Chelsea decisions, Graham Potter. It's absolutely flabbergasting what they're doing. It's just, for someone who speaks so intelligently, it smacks of complete lack of common sense, and that's the shocking thing. For all the articulate philosophical things Potter comes out with, he doesn't even have common sense in what he's doing, the way he's managing this club.
Do you think there's a weak mentality problem here? Because obviously just before the game, I don't know if you've heard the press conferences, etc. I mean, in no way I condone this behavior from them. A couple of Chelsea fans apparently sent death threats to Potter and his family. But for him to obviously discuss that just before a game, was that the right thing to do? Because obviously it almost seems like he's looking for sympathy and an acceptance from the fan. Obviously, I'm not condoning that behavior, and it shouldn't happen. But is that the right way to go about just before a match?
That was the first time I felt like he's given up. I genuinely felt like he don't want it anymore, and he's just holding out for a payday because it ain't worked out. I genuinely, because let's be honest, how many other managers are getting that type of abuse? Loads. It's not like it doesn't happen.
It comes with the job, right? It comes with the territory.
It shouldn't do, but
no, it shouldn't do. But that's the
if there was an anonymous survey done, I bet you there's more than 50% of the Premiership managers have been given death threats or abuse through their mail or through their. Unfortunately, everyone knows where people live. It's not like people don't know. Once you're a public figure, you're not exactly staying in a private road with security guards, and you're living amongst the public. People know where you live. It's just So I just think, that just felt like, for me, he feels like quitting. That's the impression I took from it. That's the impression I got from the comments he said after the game. Since I just feel like the fight's gone out of him, and it's too much heat for him to handle. And I don't understand how you rally your team because you've just made a bigger excuse for people to feel sorry for you. That's not really rallying the troops. That's not really giving them belief. That's just making them think, wow, our manager's really suffering, just like, and we're suffering, and let's just carry on feeling sorry for ourselves and suffer. There's no real impetus there to show. He could have used it. I mean, he could have used the event and got that reaction. Got that reaction. You can imagine Conte turning something like that into,
spinning it the other way around.
My players need to show the fans and fight for me and show, but he didn't do it like that. He didn't spin it like that. He spun it where
he wanted them to feel sorry for him. But that was my point, and that's my problem. Is like he wants sympathy rather than maybe using that as an example to motivate.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know if ever there's a press conference where you're seeing the white flag coming out of someone's mouth. That was it. I mean, that's all I saw was a white flag thing.
Do you know? Like
even since then, sometimes you can get things wrong. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you can have a plan, and then the reaction and the way it's taken is wrong. But the next few, you'll tell, okay, they didn't mean it to go like that. So now they're going to do something to correct it. He hasn't done any of that. So for me, it just shows like, that is what he wants. He's feeling sorry for himself. He's giving up, and I just think it's getting too much for him.
I mean, the
not much fight.
The board have come out and said they're going to keep him. So I think even though he's throwing the white flag, unless obviously they go and lose a couple more and out of the Champions League, that might change.
The thing is, the board don't have any other choice because they've done things their own way. They've done things in such a way where we already know half the signings they got weren't Graham Potter signings. They were whoever the think tank, the ownership, Bowley, Gbali, whoever is their think tank, whoever they're getting advice from. And they brought quality players. They brought some of the best future talents.
From Twitter, of the BBC gossip column, that's where they're getting their team ideas.
Well, from the agents, whichever club, Premiership club goes for a player. Then
that's it.
But the point is still, they brought good players, but you could tell they're not Graham Potter signings.
No. But it doesn't even
So
suit the way he plays. I think some of these players,
and you can tell, they got rid of Tuchel, who was a popular manager at the time. So they've actually hanged themselves out to dry. They haven't got any other choice but to back, because they're going to lose complete credibility. At least right now, Graham Potter is doing such a good job of taking the blame fully on himself and protecting the board, that really the blame hasn't gone on to them yet. They've made a farce of running the club since they've taken over.
Well,
they've made
a lot
so
of
many
people,
mistakes.
I do. A lot of, you would be surprised, a lot of pundits are actually applauding the board and the way they've invested and what they've done for the club. But something I wanted to discuss with you, and probably a bit more focus into Chelsea, because since we're discussing and how they're performing, therefore, I mean, I'll get the data up. They've bought 16 players out there since obviously Bowley took over in the summer. And it obviously doesn't seem like it's a, like you said, a Graham Potter's most of the signing. But considering the amount of players they bought in, and it's a Champions League winning club that Tuchel won Champions League with couple of months earlier, isn't this a bit surprised of how they're performing and how badly they're doing? Because Graham Potter doesn't even have any system in there, nothing. There's no signs for fans. Fans are complaining because they can't see any development. There is no plan. There is no vision. There is no idea to what they're doing.
I think that's a bit harsh. I think there is idea, there is a plan. It's just not going to gel overnight. In terms of, they've changed their plan. What is clear is their plan from the summer, which was very much, and you can see, and it's come out since then. Part of the reason why they got rid of Tuchel was because they wanted to sign X amount of players, and Tuchel refused many of the players, and so they ended up with players that he also agreed with only. And so they didn't like that. They wanted a guy where they get the best talent, they chuck it to the coach, and the coach is happy with having just all these talented players. So that's one of the reasons they got rid of Tuchel, and that's why their plan has changed, because the first plan was including who Tuchel wanted and pleasing Tuchel. The second plan doesn't include that. It just includes getting the best young under 21 talent and getting rid of all these other guys. Problem is they didn't get rid of anyone. Now let's go through the list here.
Yeah, let's do.
Number one, you'll say whether you've been impressed by these. We're not talking about potential. We're not talking about, because we'll all admit these players are potential superstars. They're all great, but we're talking about current form. What we've seen so far.
Okay.
Not their previous guys for Chelsea FC. Have they impressed you in the slightest? Enzo Fernandez.
So far?
Yeah.
In one match, he's impressed me, but apart from that,
he's done nothing, Hassan. Even in that one match, it's
I thought in one match.
We're talking about 121 million here. Come, he's done nothing.
But listen, that's not him, isn't it? That's the club.
I'll be honest. At the moment, he looks a poor man's Jorginho. Okay, even Jorginho was performing better for Chelsea. Let's be real. This guy's going to be a superstar. I rate him as a player.
He will.
I would love him, my club, to have signed him. But we're talking about current form. He just looks like a standard player, above average. And that's about it.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. It's funny you mentioned that because there's a stat that came out, Adil, about forward passes and passes into the final third. And that was one of the reasons of getting rid of Jorginho and getting Enzo Fernandez. But since that transfer swap has happened, actually Jorginho has far suppressed Enzo Fernandez in terms of forward passes into the final third.
When you watch the matches, you do see how often Enzo passes it to the fullbacks.
Yeah,
he's always playing it to the left side and fullback or the right fullback. It's very noticeable. He does play it forward too. But now Jorginho's at a club where they're playing a bit more attacking forward, fast-paced football. So now you're seeing.
But since you mentioned style of play, but doesn't that come down to the manager then? Because it's the manager who dictates the way they play. It's not as much as you would say Enzo Fernandez. So then it's probably something that Enzo Fernandez is being told to do, as in pass it out to the wingbacks.
I think they just play passing football. They try to get it, but obviously, again, let's be fair, Enzo. I mean, he's going to be a superstar. He's a great player already. He's showing that. But has he justified anywhere near that price tag? No, he hasn't. Part of the reason why he's playing this great is why because people recognize his quality that they press him. So he actually can't play the ball forward a lot of the time because he's getting marked out of the game. And good players, that's what happens to. So yeah, obviously we are being a bit
hypercritical.
No, it's not hypercritical. It's being fair. At the end of the day, we're talking about current, and we're making it clear as well that this guy is an absolute superstar. He's going to be amazing. He is an amazing player, but currently he's not sure. He hasn't set the world alight. He hasn't been man of the match in hardly any of the games. He hasn't been a standout before. Like there's been games Newcastle have lost, and Guimaraes is still the player we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
There's games, just to give a bit of context. There are games where Leicester played rubbish, but we're still talking about the quality of Maddison. He has not stood out one bit for me. And it's not about just finding the price tag. It's just when you pay that kind of money, you expect
elite level,
a little bit more than what I see. I
think I've lost our a bit.
Who can pass, who can read the.
I think we've lost the last part of your. We've lost your last part of the conversation. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying he looks like just a player that can dictate a game, do a pass. An average player, good player, technical player. Is he standing out any more than, let's say, Alexis McAllister? No, he isn't. So, just to give a bit of context, he's not stood out for me. Wesley Fofana has not stood out. I
mean, that's hard. Wesley Fofana has been injured since his camp, so we can't.
But
really,
even when he has played,
he's only
before he got injured, he had a run of games under Tuchel.
He only played, I think, 1 or 2 games, I do. So
and even then, I think he made a couple of mistakes in those games. So
he did. Yeah.
That's when their form started to dip under Tuchel. So maybe that says something there. All right, Mudryk.
No, I haven't been impressed so far. I'm not gonna lie.
The only bit that excited me was his
dropping James Milner. Dropping James Milner in the first game. That's it.
In his first game, that move, the way he done it, he looked like wow. But since then, he's done absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
He's done nothing but this Cucurella. So,
do you know what the other thing is? It's just like pure contrast. It's like obviously Mudryk and Arsenal, and then obviously Jorginho. It's like all the players that Arsenal that tried getting, they're actually performing well under Arsenal, and obviously they're struggling in this team.
Yeah. And I like I said, I think it's more about the state of the team rather than the quality of the players.
Cucurella, have you been impressed with him?
Nope. I think he's been terrible. He's really struggled. He has struggled with the weight of expectation, the demands of a club like that where you can't switch off. He's switched off many times on the back post. On the ball, you can tell he's lost confidence. He doesn't bump forward. He doesn't pass to his winger. That's why Mudryk, liked to post about how bad his Cucurella's performance is. Why? Because he doesn't pass the ball to the winger. He keeps going inside and is frustrated. Sterling got frustrated with him. Now you got Mudryk getting frustrated with him because he just doesn't like playing the ball down the line, even if there's no one on him. But if you got a winger who wants to dribble and take people on, they're not worried about if they're marked. Give him the ball.
Yeah.
So he's been off form. Sterling,
he looked good when he signed, but then I mean, playing him as a right winger and then left winger the next match and then the right winger the following match, I just think I think he just
Then a wing back.
I think it's a down for me because
I think at the
he's up
beginning
to
he
anywhere.
showed his level. He's showed his potential here and there in games. You can see, he'll do a couple of neat moves, but that's it. In the whole game, that's all he's done. Certainly not enough, in my opinion. Badiashile,
He's been quite impressive for me. I think
for me, he's been their best signing.
Yeah, still a lot more to come from him. But from what I've seen so far, I've been quite impressed.
Couple of the games, I felt like he was the best defender on the pitch. Unlucky to be part of a drawing or losing
team. Yeah,
so he has impressed me.
I think he's impressed more than Koulibaly, the guy we're going to talk about.
100% agree with you with that. 100% agree with you with that.
Even when they signed him, I thought he was a brilliant signing. When they signed Van initially, I thought he was really astute.
And it's a sniff at 35. He says 38 here. I thought they're going for 35 million.
It's euros are there.
Yeah, so he's the one signing that's impressed me.
Koulibaly.
Yeah, no, hasn't impressed me.
Nah, too many.
I think he's struggling with the pace of things. I think in Italian league is very slow tempo build up or direct football. So it's nothing that is making you think at a fast pace. I think he struggled a bit with that, but he's a good player. I do think he'll come through. He's
a good player, but he's
adapted better now.
He's made too many mistakes recently, and I think it was the right thing to kind of just take him out the limelight and the pressure. And obviously, Badiashile has been doing well, so it's well deserved. Madueke, what do you make of him?
Again, a bit like Sterling, goes past 1-2 players, shows that he's got ability, but ultimately there's no end product. There's no thing really to it. He doesn't do it consistently enough. And quite a few times he's, Enzo Fernandez is passing safe, and Nanu Madueke is dribbling safe. He dribbles across from one byline to the other byline without the ball going forward.
I think we also got to consider he had a long-term injury that he just came back from, so he's a bit short. Coming into a new club, a bit more struggling as well. It doesn't really help either. So that's also something to bear in mind.
All of these players are good players. It's not like they're both bad. We're not saying so. They're all gonna eventually make us eat our words. Like I said, it's currently we're talking about what we've seen.
Melo Gusto obviously is his loan down.
I would say their best signing so far because it's only one.
Because he's not playing for them.
Exactly. No. That's this. Chukwuemeka.
What do you make of him? I liked what I saw when he came a couple of times.
He showed flashes, but I just don't agree. I don't know why he made the decision to leave Villa. If you can't get into the Villa team, how are you going to go into a team like Chelsea? I don't know. Again, another player who done really well for the national team, the youth cups, but I'm not sure.
Andres Santos, I mean, he's loaned out again. Obviously, I forgot. I read it today. I forgot he was loaned out. He's loaned out to someone in Brazil again because they couldn't get well.
Vasco da Gama.
Yeah, that's it. But in terms of him and internationally, he smashed in the international tournament under 20
under 20
America
under 20 Cup
because joint top scorer along with Victor Roque. So he's smashing it. He seems like a real deal.
From midfield, you see, from midfield, he's the captain of the team, stand-up performer. I think he's played the tournament.
I think he was. Yeah.
So again, another one who hasn't played, so probably has enhanced.
We can't really comment on it, but I still thought it's worth mentioning because he's smashing it. But Aubameyang, pure flop. Sorry.
I don't like. When he first came, he scored under Tuchel, and he looked like, you know what, this is a good signing. And even when he first played for when Potter took over, first few games in the Champions League, he looked a threat. I mean, the criticism was he missed sitters.
Mm.
You'd rather have that now. You'd rather have Aubameyang missing sitters than what you got now, which is not even creating nothing.
Valid.
So I think, yeah, he's a flop because clearly no manager believes in him enough to play him.
But don't you think that's something Chelsea are missing? That is the problem.
100%,
Someone to put the ball in.
But when he was there,
maybe you'd rather have him in there because at least he's getting to those positions and getting those. And once he gets one, you know he's going to go and get 2 or 3, 5.
what doesn't make sense is, for me, he looks like a player that would work really well with João Felix and Enzo Fernandez. I.e., they are always looking to either run in behind or play the ball in behind.
Yeah.
They're looking for that. So I just feel like he would complement those two if he was played a bit more. But, you know, they're trying to fit Havertz in, and that's where the problem is he's gone with Havertz when maybe he needs to go with Aubameyang. I got a feeling if they played him, then he'd get goals. Currently a flop, but maybe not his fault. Not totally his fault.
Fofana?
He's looked good, to say the truth. When I've seen him play, he's looked, because I just thought change one, Norwegian League, but it actually looked good.
In the last game, I think he was taken off after half time, I did, but I thought he was one of the best.
Yeah, that was probably the one that he played the worst in, but the time before that, I actually felt he looked good every time he came on. He actually, there's a couple he started on left wing, he looked like a decent player, good footwork. So, but yeah, in terms of has he set the, you know,
no, of course not.
The league of fire, of course not. So yeah.
João Felix, I would say yes.
He looks good. For me, he looks good.
He's been the best signing, well, one of the best signings along with the Badashli.
Which they haven't actually signed. It's an old,
it's a long deal. So
yeah, he's looked the best. He looked really good. He looks like he's the type of player. He can handle the pressure of being the main man at the club. He's already like.
No, do you know what he's missing? He's just missing a partner because some of his movements and the chance creations that he's doing is unbelievable. And even if you look at the goals he scored, the composure, the technique, the way he found that space, the run, the intelligence, everything is just that next level.
But the thing is,
that next level up.
Problem there is you can just tell there's only that's a 2-hit combo. Basically, it's just him and Enzo. As soon as Enzo gets on the ball, he makes those runs. Yeah. He knows Enzo's going to find him. And that's it. He ain't got another. And the other thing I felt, especially against Tottenham, was now it's starting to change already. He's starting to get greedy now. Against Tottenham, there's a few times where Sterling made excellent runs. You're the 10, play him in. He's going to outpace the Dyer all day long. He's going to finish to get a good shot off. And he went for a long-range shot from edge of the box on his weaker foot. And, you know, there's little incidents like that where he's become the de facto main man, but he's not always making the right decisions now because of it.
But I mean, it's partly down to the fact that no one else is performing, and he's kind of...
Well, and it'll come down to cohesion that, you know, probably the first time he's played in the starting lineup with Sterling, so he doesn't quite know his runs and everything. But either way, I hope he doesn't start becoming so greedy that he doesn't, you know, lay the ball off for better players in better positions. But he's been the best signing, in my opinion, too.
Definitely. And I mean, obviously the goalkeeper is out on loan. Dennis Zakaria, what do you make of him? Impressed?
That's a strange one because Tuchel, and we know that wasn't a Tuchel signing. They got him last minute. Tuchel never used him and kind of excluded from the squad. And then Potter started to use him when he first came, and he looked quite good.
Yeah,
he had chances, he dominated midfield.
Especially in the Champions League game, he looked really good. And
as soon as they got the signings in, he's gone back to nowhere on the list.
Yeah.
So, he's a good player, he's a powerful player. But he hasn't really set the world alight.
Not set the world alight, yeah.
So we're talking about, you know, 350 million on signing, and not one of them is really impressing us other than a loan signing.
Adu. There you go. There's the very Adu.
Yes, so
600 million, Adu, not 300.
yeah, and the thing is, when you sign so many players, what do you need? You need your leaders to step up to take charge to help the gelling of the team. They got rid of Jorginho, who was known as the loudest voice in the dressing room. You know, him and Thiago Silva were the main leaders in that dressing room. And that's why Thiago Silva was so upset when they got rid of Jorginho. Was because it's not about. I think it's good business. 12 million for Howard is 32.
Oh, I mean, he had 6 months left in his contract.
Yeah, well. So it's good business, but we're talking about the question around planning and knowing what you're doing. Well, part of that was keeping those players that are going to help gel the team, gel the squad together, gel the dressing room during a difficult time, keep it positive. Kovacic ain't going to do that.
No.
You know, other players are going to do that. You know, see, you know, Chilwell rallying up the troops.
So do you reckon there's a problem with leadership within that camp now because of how many young, inexperienced players they've got now? Is there obviously we got Thiago Silva still there? Let's not take that out. But I'm saying that's just one man.
Yeah, I think they have not because of. I think because of the fact that when certain players came in, Tuchel empowered different players. Sterling, for example, was one of his leaders. You know, he empowered different players. Potter's come in and completely gone back to a different set of players. Potter's gone to the English players. So Conor Gallagher's more important all of a sudden. James and the English cohort are back in, apart from Mount. And it's changed. So he's now gone to different players. You can tell Jack Felix is now, and Sterling isn't that big.
It's funny you say that. The reason why I say is because I've just saw something, a text come through that this is by Matt Law, basically saying senior players have doubts whether Graham Potter can turn the situation around, and there are some anger when players are left out of the match day squad, and new signings are shocked with the amount of pressure they're already under.
No, but that's standard because we said that at the time. This whole project ain't gonna work unless you sell players. You can't. And no coach. How are you gonna do a training session with 35 players?
Yeah.
All international starters, all key players for the international. You know, it doesn't make sense. So I just think that bit is understandable. It's impossible for Potter to keep those players happy. Where the criticism is valid, and it's going to be for any coach that ever replaces Tuchel, is on the coaching ground. No one will come close. Tuchel is known as being the best in the training ground. His sessions are the best, most intense, most fun, most detailed. It really does improve and captivate players. His training sessions, even at PSG, Pochettino was straight criticized. And Pochettino's known for having good training, but the level of training, all ex-players who speak about what's best about Tuchel, his attention to his training, his coaching sessions are some of the best, and that's everybody complains that level drops once Tuchel is out. So I'm not surprised by that criticism. It's a poison channel for anyone to impress players when it comes to the coaching department. The
biggest problem for Graham Potter at the moment, it seems that there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And then that's
I think there is though. I think there is because the next 4 games are all winnable.
Yeah, they're all winnable. I mean, a couple of the previous ones are all winnable as well. But again,
I think, look, if he doesn't win these 4 games or most of these 4 games comfortably, that's when.
Well, he's got Dortmund in the Champions League as
at home, but they got outplayed in the first leg, even though they won. Kareem Adeyemi scored an amazing goal, but Chelsea should have comfortably won that.
Mm. I mean, what they
Leicester's
got?
getting
Chelsea got
chances.
Leeds, Leicester, and then Everton to come. So I mean, they have to beat them.
So I just think they got really good fixtures. They got an opportunity to build a bit of confidence and momentum.
Yeah. Mm. Can they get Champions League?
Nah, we said that time ago. You know,
Done.
you can't consistently back them to win every week. So it's not realistic.
Let's move on to one that has changed the dynamics in terms of potentially getting into the Champions League spot is Liverpool. But again, they let themselves down with the draw at Crystal Palace. And
Yeah.
sorry, not forgetting to mention, got battered in the weekday against Real Madrid.
Yeah. Well, they were definitely. I think the manner of the Real Madrid defeat really affected their confidence. You could see. I haven't seen the Liverpool team, the passing be as bad as that. So many players looked either unfit or low in confidence. It was quite stark to see how many players, Matip looked shot, Alexander-Arnold looked shot, the whole midfield, just even Naby Keita. I mean, I'm surprised Vieira hasn't made as much of a big deal out of it. I mean, that Liverpool team were lucky to stay with 10 men in that first half. They had so many players doing this persistent fouling. Many teams do it, but they did the professional. They done the standard yellow card fouls, the counter-attack fouls.
But they didn't get booked.
And the second yellow card never came. Naby Keita had about 9 lives in that first half. I don't know how he didn't get a second yellow card. And I haven't seen a midfielder look that out of pace to the demands of a Premier League game as much as I did navigate that game. So many players just looked unfit, low in confidence. It was such a jittery performance.
Do you want to know? Do you want to know what's funny? It's funny because the both games just reminded me of a video we've done last year's Champions League final. And I don't know if you remember the title, we called it the Real Mentality Monsters in terms of Madrid. And it kind of just, again, justified itself again in that game against Madrid. Because if you look at it, Liverpool go 1-0 up and go 2-0 up. And from a mistake, from the keeper. And you think any team, Anfield, would feel the pressure. And Madrid just... like magic,
but
just
they were 2-0 up.
2-0 up, yeah, 2-0 up, yeah.
So
and then Madrid just switch on it, and you just think,
no, it's not like. But the thing is, look, we're talking about you get United, they're scrapping, when they're struggling, they're down. They get to halftime, second half, they're a different team. Ten Hag's changed X, Y, Z, and they go on to win. Fine, that's one win. This team is taking over the game and dominating and showing the mentality within the same half. Yeah. They started off slow. It's like at halftime, it's the other team that is making changes, stressing, saying what we're going to do with this juggernaut. It's not that. It's not.
Listen, so, I really wanted to just call you and do a video because I just found like
it's a shame. It's a shame you didn't because again, I think it got picked up by one of the pundits, but the key to that game was Ancelotti's tactical changes, and Liverpool completely dominated. Then they're right. They had an overload with Henderson, Salah, and Trent Alexander. Soon and Modric was overrun. He could not handle the pace of the game. Soon as they put Valverde on that side, suddenly the balance of players changed. They're dominating the game, and it just shows you how personnel putting the right players in the right places. That that tactical intelligence is. You don't always have to make a sub. You don't need to sub off. Modric was never a crap player.
No.
It's just he was getting down for legs and energy, and
Listen,
with the
it's
switch sides,
37, man. It's 37. Well, what do you expect from the guy, man? But yeah,
well, you expect him to win the ball, sprint past Fabinho,
well, he's done that. He's done that. He's done that.
lay on assist.
But you know, like Liverpool fans are crying out, obviously, about how aging their midfield is and how they're like, this is a 37-year-old running past their whole midfield like they're not there.
Like I said, I think obviously confidence is a big problem. Fabinho, I mean, this game even he came on, and within a second or so he took someone out. Who was it? I can't remember the Crystal Palace player. Literally, the Crystal Palace player jogged past him, completely sprint past him.
First tackle, he fouled him. Oh, I thought he should have been booked, but
my thing is, this is a fresh player against a tired player.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, Ayu just complete. Ayu's played the whole game, giving full energy. At times, looked knackered because he's giving so much, and he's literally waltzing past Fabinho like he doesn't even exist. Absolutely shocking. But yeah, I mean, we said about this Liverpool team. No matter what, even if the game result, they're not playing convincing football. They're not playing well, and the obsession to make this Gakpo experiment work as a false nine, it's not gonna, like, as good as he is too soft. I mean, the amount of times he's losing the ball, not because he ain't protected the ball. Well, technically, he's excellent, protects the ball well, and then the guy comes and just shoulders him and just muscles him off the ball, and you just think, how are you going to have a template to build your attack? And you know, the only thing that, and I've thought this for a number of weeks, I never bother saying it because, you know, their form is so patchy. They win enough to, you don't want to ever go that low and just say a line like, but I'm going to say it because I'm fed up.
Go on.
The way Liverpool play currently reminds me of Man United under Oli.
Wow.
It really does. You know why? It's just a team that is so deluded, wants to just be positive, wants to just attack, just wants to play forward.
Sorry. I just need to clarify this. So Klopp is Ole in disguise.
No, he's not. But at the end of the day, the way they are playing,
I'm putting this as the poster of the video.
You can. You all you're gonna do is make embarrass us. But my point is, it's just the way they're playing. Though they're playing like the way Ole's Man United did. All they want to do is play forward. All they want to do is be positive. All they want to do is rush to the attack. They don't want to build up. They don't want to do any of the hard work off the ball. They just want to leave it to the defense. They don't want to coach the defenders how to defend. You know, any problem there are, what are we going to do? We're going to attack more. We're going to throw more numbers. We're going to overload more. It's just a proper delusion.
Look, I mean, let's quickly obviously wrap this part up in terms of Liverpool. Obviously, 9 points behind Tottenham with 2 games in hand. Do you reckon that? I mean, that's achievable top 4?
It's achievable if other people choke, just like last season. You know, we're questioning whether who is it?
Sorry.
Which team choked?
Choked. Arsenal.
Arsenal, yeah. we kept saying, Tottenham going to get it, Tottenham going to get it. And we was like, it depends. It's not, Tottenham didn't win it. Arsenal gave it away. Do you get it? And it's going to be the same here. I don't think this Liverpool team is good enough to go on a run where they're actually going to win the top 4 battle. It's whether Tottenham can handle the pressure of it.
Do you think it might be a blessing in disguise going out of the Champions League then, in terms of getting the Champions League next year?
No, there's never a blessing in disguise. I mean, it only helps your rebuild. It only helps everything you're trying to achieve. And we already know they've got their line players tapped, signed up. You know, part of the problem they have currently is the fact that you know, Liverpool are going through such a transition. The team that made them successful is no longer there, and there's many issues going on in the background. You know, every single member of the scouting stroke recruitment team, senior person, has left over the last 2 years. Clearly, there's an issue here. Clearly, there's a problem with what Klopp wants and demands and the pressure he's putting and how upset he's getting with, the formula that worked. Now, what people do is when they're successful doing something, they hold on to those values and those ways and those methodologies more than ever. They don't always adapt. And yeah, maybe
stubbornness is the problem. I mean, but we called it though, Adil. Even was it last year or the year before when they struggled? Again, it was a bit when Van Dijk was injured. It was again stubbornness of sticking to what he wants to do in terms of not putting an actual.
No, but it's not. I don't think it's not stubbornness in that sense. No, it's stubbornness in never having or going to a plan B. They did it this year with Arthur. At the last minute, they had to have some humble pie. Last second, they went to Arthur. It hasn't worked. So
I mean, the guy hasn't even played any minutes.
Yeah, I think he's fully fit, playing in under 20, so he should get some game time soon. But the point is still the same. He taps up the players he wants. They are perfect for his system. They are genuinely amazing players. Bellingham, whoever he's got tapped up, they're already there, ready to sign. The problem is Liverpool plays this game of chess because they don't want to pay the big bucks to the club or salaries. They don't want to pay the big bucks. Klopp's gone fed up with it. But that will always clash with the recruiting people, the people who are doing the scouting.
Well,
the thing is, what Klopp has to understand is, as good as he is at tapping up players, I think the one that keeps coming up behind the scenes is Matheus Nunes going to Wolves. He's still upset about that. He had him tapped up, had it set. He's still upset that he went to Wolves and they come to.
He still wants to take him to Liverpool.
And the price they got him for and whatnot. And these are some reasons why all the, Julian Ward and the people before him left, is because of these disputes. But the point is still there. He taps his players, but guess what? Some of those signings weren't people he tapped up, weren't his signing, but they've been their best signing. For example, Salah. So there is a balance there. Klopp doesn't always get it right. He doesn't know every player, and every player that he gets isn't a success. And look at Naby Keita, hasn't been a success.
Keita is a prime example, yeah.
So I think that's where the problem is once he taps a player, he wants that player, and he wants a club that backs him. Isn't afraid to pay the big money and the big salary. He doesn't want to wait. And so that's why, to get his way, he holds on to being stubborn and not going for his backups.
FSG and the board ain't going anywhere because they came out again and clarified the situation in terms of they don't want to sell the club. They just want financial investment within the club. So
they don't want to sell the club after having the sale signed and not getting the offer that they wanted. It's a bit easy to say. It's like selling your house and getting offers lower than your bid price.
That's what they said. So we got to go with it.
No, but we also know what really happened. Is...
it's a hit and miss with Liverpool, isn't it? At the moment, it still seems like obviously Spurs to take the top four places.
I don't know. Like I said, I think I don't trust this Spurs team, especially when Conte comes back, because you see the freedom in which they're playing under Stellini. That's not going to be there under Conte. So, weirdly enough, Conte might make it a bit more tighter because
have Spurs found the new manager?
No, I mean Stellini would be disloyal. But the fact is, he's a bit more easygoing. He sticks to one tactic the whole game. He doesn't play the game plan, and those players find that a lot more easier to execute. Conte, what he's trying to do, and we spoke about it last week, he's trying to do that thing what Emery's trying to do, or every manager wants to do, which is prepare their team to play different styles in games, because that makes you a better team in the long run.
Yeah.
But currently, those players, especially, and that's the thing, when you're trying to teach game plan, tactics, different tactics, managing the game, whatever you want to call it, that stuff is easy for experienced players to take on. to coach that to young players
It's
is
hard.
very
It's hard.
difficult. Very difficult. And that's what the problem is with Tottenham. So now they've got Stellini, who isn't bothered with that stuff because that's not his on that level. And they played with the freedom and kind of generally been winning more comfortably and playing one identity, one
Better
time.
football, yeah.
You don't see this retreating and changing the game, like you see constant changes under Conte. So you don't know. It could become a tight game. And then Liverpool are a good team still. They're not, they're getting their big players back.
Quick one. Between the two, who's gonna get top four for you? Let's put a prediction out there.
I'm gonna stick to Tottenham.
Tottenham. I mean, obviously, we discussed the top four. Let's move on to the top of table. Arsenal, Man City. Let's start with Arsenal. Been conceding a lot of goal recently. Finally managed to get a clean sheet away from home as well. Must be good for their confidence and the way they're going ahead and bring that belief back, because it felt like teams were gaining confidence in terms of attacking their backline and getting goals.
Not only did they not concede, I don't think they gave one chance. Not even one. I think there was one shot off target, and that was it in the whole game.
I mean, I do. So since I think they started doing the XG, that was the lowest in any game of 0.01% XG.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know that, but from what I saw of the game, I mean, it's unbelievable how dominant and comfortable that game. I actually thought this could be a high-scoring game. I actually thought Leicester always score at home. They play and I really thought, this is going to be an exciting game. But having seen Leicester against United, I mean, Maddison makes such a difference. He's hit that level where he's potentially outgrown Leicester, but really, he's so good. He makes such a difference in chance creations and the build-up to chances that get created, that when he's not in the team, the attack looks devoid of any ideas. And it's more than a confidence builder when you completely shatter a team like that.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you're hanging on and you get the clean sheet, and that helps builds your confidence. For me, their confidence wasn't gone in the first place. If you're able to do that to a team, it was never gone in the first place. Like I said, I believe that late when against Aston Villa was going to be bigger than anything else, is because they've gone back to listening to Arteta full stop. Every single instruction he gives, and you can see that in the result, in the performance, complete domination, no risk.
What do you make of the switch up between obviously dropping Nketiah and putting Trossard up there? Because it felt like he brought that switch back between Martinelli and Jesus, kind of because of the way they both rotated, and that's why it felt like, to be honest.
I mean, I
didn't think he performed that bad either, Trossard.
It's easy to say now that he got the assist and he played well, and Leicester. I mean, it's 1-0, but it's as comfortable as of a 1-0 as you'll ever get.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to say in hindsight. It was a huge call. It was a big risk. Trossard, up until that point, hadn't really said that, anything. That hadn't really felt like, where does he really fit in? And I wasn't quite sure Martinelli deserved to go out of the team because of his unique qualities. But they found a way. But the thing that impressed me most watching that game was clearly how much they had worked on it in training, because the amount of times they were playing the ball into the space in front of Trossard, and Trossard was coming into the false nine position and picking up the ball. You can only do that if you've got one, complete trust in the player, and you've done a lot of training, because they're popping it off when he's kind of posting up on the defender, and they know he's just going to spin off the defender and pick it up, and they're just popping it into that spot. So how much they used him, how much they made that change of personnel work, the style work is what impressed me because it just showed they had clearly worked on it a lot, and it was that tactical change was the key difference in dominating a Leicester team that is very good at keeping the ball. They couldn't, and they couldn't think because they recognized Harry Suter really struggles to step in, and you see Trossard kept staying on Harry Suter's side. I thought there's a lot of tactical stuff there that made it work. And when he went to five side, I stepped in a couple of times, won it. But they had done their homework, they had done it, their training, and they executed to perfection. And it just shows, when it comes to planning and prepping, this Arsenal team is up there.
Do you think Saka should have had a penalty? Because Harry Suter was falling over. It seemed like he bundled thingy over. Saka.
I don't. No, I thought he's looking for it.
I think it's a penalty. How can you be looking for it? The guy's falling over.
It was a. I mean,
it wasn't Saka falling over. Saka was going to get the ball. It's Harry Suter falling over, and then he just put his whole body on Saka.
No, I don't think it's
because I've seen a lot worse given than that.
Yeah, you've seen it, but again,
nah,
it happens in the game. People fall over, man.
Fall over, but you don't need to fall over to the player.
But you don't have to avoid him either. No,
but that's a pen, then, isn't it? You put the player down. If you put the player down, it's a pen.
It's a contact sport. It's a contact sport. Collision happens.
It's not collision. You're deciding to fall on the guy and bringing him down. If you look,
he had nowhere else to fall. He's falling.
If you look at the video, he's grabbing him and boom. So it's a pen.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's soft.
It's a pen.
Another type that just soft. I don't think
pen. But Man City obviously after the Arsenal we're going to a bit more pressure. Again, thoroughly professional performance, obviously against Bournemouth, but they absolutely battered them.
Yeah, and there were things about this game that were real key things to know. Is first thing was the fact that played a proper back four. I came back as the left back. There were things about this that showed me Pep is actually accepting certain things and not being too stubborn. The criticism and the reason why we kept saying Foden needs to be in the team because he's now the only player that stretches the play in this team. And before they had Sterling who'd run in behind, even Gabriel Jesus could do that at times. They've lost players that do that. Yeah. So at this game, they were all looking to play the ball in behind. It wasn't just two Foden. Gundogan was making runs in behind. Haaland was. So that was one thing I definitely noticed, which has gone out of their game, which was other players running in behind and them from defense, just going that ball over the top. That hasn't been there all season. They've ruled that out. Only time you see it is when Foden was on the pitch. So that I felt was a key part of that game, really changed the dynamics of that game. The second thing was this was the first game where I saw Haaland doing proper pressing. And was it the second goal? The second goal is Foden's goal. The third goal is because of Haaland's pressing and Diaz's pressing. So there's so many stories within the match that were quite for me telling. The fact that the difference in leadership that Diaz brings. Diaz is pressing all the way to Billings. Alongside Haaland. He's alongside Haaland. That's how much he's left the centre-back position to press. And this was the first time where, look, if you look at the Pep era, who are the ones, who are the best pressers? We've said it quite a few times. It's Gundogan, Silva, Foden, Jesus who's left, Sterling who's left, Who else is it? Rodri. It's that core that's been winning all these seasons. He hasn't managed to get that out of Mahrez, Haaland, Grealish. Julian Alvarez does it.
Well, I mean, their
But
press
there's
has
a
been
different level.
non-existent.
I mean,
Their press
when
has
you
been
watch it,
non-existent this year.
no, but when you watch the intensity in which they fly in and they press, it's unlike any team.
Mm-hmm.
It's more intense than Liverpool's getting pressing because Liverpool's intensity is through their pressing and hounding as a team.
Yeah.
But the individual press that those players do, even De Bruyne, it's phenomenal. The speed and how they lunge in, it's scary. They've lost that intensity, and we alluded to a couple of weeks ago that it looks like they're putting those players on the pitch and they're getting that intensity. Well, guess what? This is the first time we're starting to see that intensity from Grealish and Haaland. So something's changed there where maybe the penny dropped slightly more than it was on those players. But this is what we have to do. This is the level required. If we don't, we're going to keep dropping points. And so that's part of the development. And the big worry with City was that Lilo's no longer there. We kept saying last year and the year before that how much he's changed and made one thing, the first nine, which was his creation in the first place, work really good, and they won last 2 seasons with it, playing it. But also the fact that he used to be able to get through to Pep Guardiola and stop him from being stubborn on certain things. We've seen him be stubborn all season because Lilo's no longer there. That guy that challenges him ain't there anymore. Now what we see, first time Pep is kind of developing the team and pushing them on. So again, I keep saying it's ominous sign, but we don't know if was it just for one game or had the penny finally dropped that this is the Pep way.
I just think since that about the financial doping business came, he's been changing a lot, and the way he's been doing stuff and motivating the team has completely changed and transformed, starting to get into the psyche of the players. And I think it's completely.
It seems that way, but then also I do feel like the constant changes is part of the problem. The reason why they're inconsistent is because he's not allowing the rhythm. Before you'd know who his best lineup is. Now I kind of can't say. It's changing it so often. So yeah, as good as that might be the idea, that constant search to motivate the players and find factors to motivate them by rotating them. Maybe that is the case, and if that is the case, and he manages to get the players to understand the intensity level that's required, then clearly, they're going to have a really strong run in.
Yeah.
And no matter what, Arsenal will feel the pressure of that run.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, they got their game in hand against Everton this week on Wednesday. So if they win, they go back to 5 points clear. But if they don't, it's 2 points again. So it's right in the mix, I do.
And they still got to play City.
And still got to play City. Yeah. So it's there. It's looking like it's heating up really well. So it's good. So good. Quick mention: West Ham impressive win against Nottingham Forest 4-0. Seems like the old West Ham is back. Even David Moyes kind of referred to that.
I don't know if it's the old West Ham. I would say a new West Ham. The new West Ham. I mean, the tempo they played that game was unbelievable. It was just 1-2 touch football. Every free kick, every throw just literally came in within 1 second. There was no. I mean, there's one point just to highlight the point of how fast and how quick they were playing the game and tiring the opposition was. At one point, Ings gets completely taken out. He's rolling around on the floor. They just took the free kick. They're a man down. They don't care. That's how much the idea was.
Listen, Danny Ings just smashed him, man.
I mean, when he's fit, he scores. He always scores.
He just loves scoring, and he gets one, and then he always goes and gets the second in most games, and after that, it was just game over.
Yeah, but I felt like even when the half time was 0-0, the tempo they played even in the first half, that game, should have been out of sight a long time ago. 4-0 was about right. That's how much they dominated, and they played really well. They created loads of chances, but I have to say I was really impressed with the tempo they played, the 1-2 track football, how fast they played. They did not allow hardly any stops. It'd be interesting to see the ball in play time of that match. I wouldn't be surprised to have the highest in of the season because literally West
It's a
Ham
good
got the
stat to
ball in
look
play
at.
within a second.
It's a good stat to look at. I mean, I do the bottom six, I would say seven, is separated by what? 7 points. So 2 games potentially. That's how tight it is. That's how tight it is.
It's tight, and what's made it more intriguing is the fact that so many of them have changed managers.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you kind of not sure where any of these teams are.
Well,
Like,
I mean, also to
confident in
mention,
saying where
obviously,
Leeds are under Garcia
yeah.
or where Southampton is under Sellers, or so many of them have changed. It's hard to read which team's in the ascendancy, which team's going to get it right. Which is we're only going to be able to tell once we see more matches and more of what
I'm not
these
gonna lie.
managers
I
are
think
to do.
Southampton is a done deal, man. I think it's done. I think Southampton's gone down,
It seems that way,
and I
but
think they've
like
accepted
I
it as well.
said, the Sellers might be a top notch. He's highly rated. I wouldn't put it past him.
Mm.
I don't think it's a squad that is so bad
No.
that it's that there's a lot of good pieces there. There's a lot of good players, a lot of young talent that are really good. So I wouldn't completely rule them out. Just
No, but do you know what the
squad.
other thing is? It's concerning is their home form, because they've only like won 9% of their games at home. 9%. So that's
That's always the case with the team that
yeah,
that
if you
got
don't if you
down.
don't if you don't improve that home form, you're gonna get killed.
Yeah, and maybe with that stat, it probably does influence me towards agreeing with you a bit more now. But yeah, that's the team that always bottom of the league is the team that doesn't win hardly any of their home games.
Yeah,
That's
but that's their problem, because away from home, out of the top,
but
sorry, the bottom lots, yeah, in the league, they probably have the best. Yeah, they have the best percentage of away wins, 30%. So it's the home form that's their problem.
yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, looking at Bournemouth, I still felt they played well against City. Both times when they're 2-0 down, they had a good go, they had chances. They gave City a game. I didn't think that was a 4-1 thrashing. That was a promising 4-1, as in there were aspects and moments in that game where they were going toe to toe with City, and City couldn't win the ball back, and they played really good football and they created some good chances. So there's something going there where I wouldn't say 100% rule them out right now, because they play some decent stuff. They look like they got goals in them. Look like they can play. They can play. So, like I said, it's intriguing. I'm not sure where to put my
like
prediction right now.
I'm looking at that table. I'm like, I'm literally scratching my head, because I'm thinking, who do I really think will drop out with Southampton? Obviously, yeah, Bournemouth are 19th and Everton are 18th. But I like we've discussed this already. I think Everton's gonna get out. West Ham definitely gonna get out. Wolves obviously have improved significantly. So it just brings to question who's gonna be those two teams.
It's good. And then, like I said, it's going to be interesting. It's intriguing because of the fact that there's so many moving parts and there's so many new projects and teams doing new things. So I wouldn't completely rule out anyone yet. Like, I'm not going to say that bit where someone's going down, and I don't feel like that with any of them. Yeah, I agree. It seems like it might be too much for Southampton, but I'm still not ready to say they're a team because, again, I really liked what the manager said at the end of the game. When I hear a manager can identify the real problems of their team and the real problems of the match, that always makes me think, well, they got hope because they ain't got a deluded manager.
I think, but it seems like potentially two of the teams that got promoted might stay up, and two of the old standing Premier League members will be going down. That's what it seems like at the moment.
Well, yeah, possibly. I mean, we know Fulham staying up, so we can definitely guarantee that.
You think?
And yeah, we know what, because of where they're at, they don't get enough credit and enough spoken about them. They are playing phenomenal.
They are 2 points off Newcastle and 6 points off Tottenham.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think, that in terms of relegation battle, I'm like you. I'm not ready to pin my hat on. Well, I'm not even ready to put it on Southampton.
You're not even putting on Southampton. That's how much you're sitting on the fence.
Well, I like what I've heard of this manager. So let's see. I want to see what he does. I mean, it seems like off the ball they're going to be hard to beat. I want to see whether he can develop them on the ball enough to make me think, you know what, they might have a chance. So I'm not sure yet. I'm not at that phase where I can rule them out. I might be in a couple of weeks. Let's see.
But you know, the key thing is with those bottom, I think most of them are playing each other's in the next couple of games. So I think that will start creating the divide between the bottom few and the nearabouts. So I think that should be good barometer for us coming into, say, maybe end of March to see who's fully probably out there. But yeah, on that, talking of the end, it's the end of the show. So thank you for watching. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe. And as always, Adil sitting on the fence. Thank you.